Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CX Goalkeeper podcast. Today, I am really thrilled to start a discussion with Petko Tinchev. Is really a great mind in customer experience, in special in analytics, and I am really looking forward to have a great discussion. Petko is the CEO of Gemseek, but now before I start all the introduction, the usual question, and it's always the same. Petko, could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Greg. First, thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast. It's really great. I also love the format, the background behind you. So I'm Petko, I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Gemseek. So we're a 10-year-old company. And basically, it feels like a startup, despite the fact that it's 10-year-old and the company is quite big. It feels like a startup every day. For myself, basically, I've been in consulting and analytics before founding the company with a couple of enthusiasts 10 years ago. And in those 10 years, basically, we've been changing every year, adding new things, developing new things, following the market, basically. But I'm very happy to say that, especially for the last 2 years with Gemseek, together with the same team that we founded the company, which is still here, we're in a position of a pioneer in this case, not as a follower, but as a pioneer. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Petko, for the introduction. And also from my side, thank you for accepting my invite. Because at the end, we are always discussing in customer experience how to convince the C-suite that customer experience is important. How can we prove that what we are doing in customer experience or as customer experience professional makes sense? And now I have a CEO on my podcast to exactly discuss that. For sure, Petko, it's really innovative and we already feel his mindset, and therefore it will be an easy discussion. I don't need to convince him that customer experience it's relevant and makes sense. But before we deep dive in the impact of customer experience, could you please share also Q3 insight about your career, Petko? How is possible to get to such a level of a company, an award-winning company that won the Customer Centricity Award Series last year?
So for me personally, the journey is one of actually working and studying abroad for many years. I'm from Eastern Europe, basically I'm from Bulgaria, where the big part of operations are located. I found something which is very unique for a region, Bulgaria, Eastern Europe in general, and for my generation, people who actually went and studied abroad and got really great business practices in the US in this case, and of course in Western Europe, and came back, but using that entrepreneurial hunger which is all over in Eastern Europe. There's a lot of people who are really hungry for entrepreneurship and growth and innovation. So I think that recipe and teaming up with some great people, for me personally, has helped me to be successful. The recipe also of the founders of Gemseek is the same. You know, people who went did PhD in Oxford, for example, in statistics, or worked in banking in London or in the US. You know, we all came together based on our common values, but also on our same historical journey of getting some great Western practices and applying them with the Eastern European entrepreneurial hunger.
Very, very nice. And as you mentioned, that core values, it's something that for me, it's always really important. And I often ask my guests, perhaps could you please share with us which are your core values?
Yeah, we have also my personal values are the ones also at Gemseek. This is kind of how things work in general. You cannot force values on people. You just kind of share what yours are, and you can find people who share them as well. Inquisitive is one of our most common values, of the more curiosity, if you wish another word for it, because it's not only for myself, I'm very curious to reach new heights, to try different approaches to problems. He's helped us go from a very, let's say, low-level services provider 10 years ago to now a pioneer in the AI space in customer experience. So inquisitive, human, and open as well, another two values which are part of our also corporate culture, but my also So in our offices, we don't have corner office. I don't have a corner office. I sit with my people everywhere. I don't even have a desk. Anybody that needs help, I'm very open to support them, irrelevant of what of our 200 people staff, what their position is. They're like family, and that's kind of the shared values across everybody. Also, when people start with Gemseek or meet me at just the same type of feeling of approachability, openness, and willingness basically to succeed together. No competition, and customer centricity as well. I believe that in order for us to help companies on their journey, we also need to exhibit it to our customers as well. So customer centricity is it's one of our values as well, which is shared, and proud. Actually, the one which is let's say it's a result of efforts. It's not a value per se, but in general, there are things which I think you can do in terms of habits or even actions that can make you more proud. Awards, sharing with families, sharing to new people. This is something that is a result, but also it can be enabled by things that you do. So more or less, those are the values of my personal values that are also Gemseek's values.
And I think it's really nice. And elaborating on the first one that you mentioned, curiosity, it's also why we are discussing now. we came into contact, we started a discussion, and we said we have something to tell to the audience, to spread, and therefore we are here. And the topic that I would like to discuss with you today, as said, is the impact of customer experience, making the impact of customer experience tangible, meaning showing the results, as usual, as we are saying, the return on investment. How do you proceed at Gemseek in order to really show these results?
Yes, great question. Basically, before going into impact, I just want to give you a little bit frame it how we look at the current industry right now, looking even backwards, a lot of companies were focused on making great products, great features on the products. That's how they differentiate. Afterwards, there was more what we call kind of like the brand era. So not only products, but you need to have a stellar brand, appealing brand, in order to have customers buy your product. And now I'm very happy that we're in the kind of customer experience era where companies realize that products are commoditized. Brands are a lot about budgets and design, and it's again very two-dimensional. So they look at customer experience because irrelevant to what you're buying, at the end of the day, it's all around about the experience. So all the companies have realized that, and they have started to invest from years now into that, what we call the activation phase. So you get companies being consulted on how to design what customer experience management means for them, the implemented technologies, and this is basically on a very high exponential growth in terms of application and adoption. However, what the activation doesn't do is it doesn't bring impact, and what we see is when we try to look at what impact is from our perspective, it's very simple. It's the result of your actions, of your customer experience management actions. That's the impact. And when we're trying to look at that as a company of what a lot of companies are doing, we saw that either it's non-existent in some cases or it's very minimal. And there are three main things basically that led to that. Number one, despite the greatest technology or even capabilities within organizations, we see that very often or almost none companies don't look back at what they've done successfully. I talk about those actions, that are derived from all of the insights that data that companies are collecting. Number two, and the biggest challenge up to now that we see in companies, and everybody's talking about it, is the fact that the scope of your customer experience efforts is limited to the response rate that you get. This is really kind of like the elephant in every room, usually when we start talking about customer experience. And number three also is the fact that it's still a reactive customer experience management. There's almost none in terms of proactive. And this has shaped basically in the last 2 years, a lot of talking to clients that we have done, shaped also what our vision is. And our vision is that we believe that every company should address customer needs proactively, unlike now. And the two ways that company do it is you get complaints, you do something about it, or you collect feedback, and based on that feedback, you still do something about it. So that's why we have actually worked towards the power of artificial intelligence, machine learning, the huge install base and great technologies that companies possess right now, and combination of behavioral data, what customers do, so coming from ERP, CRM systems, and attitudinal data coming from customer experience, why people do it. So combining all this in order to build predictive models that help companies increase the impact. I can be very specific to give you an example how we've been able to address those three individual issues that we saw in companies. So number one is look back, as I said, of what has worked. Through the power of AI, we've been able to build, in a very simple term, a recommendation engine, taking all the learnings from the actions that have worked, whether it's about retaining customers, acquiring new customers, or reducing your cost to serve those customers. We have taken all those, plugged in our predictive model, and provided in the form of a recommendation engine. In a very simple term, basically, it's like you go on shopping and they know, what you've bought before, and they offer you new, and they offer you very adequate for you specifically items. Maybe in a way of football terms, let's say, what is it? Stefano Pioli is the Milan head coach. So you know how Stefano Pioli takes and his team all the learnings from previous games, what people did wrong, what people did well, and they applied into the learning of their in their next match, in their next game. But we see companies don't do that. So we've been able to do this with that recommendation engine. Award-winning, by the way, just recently we won an award on the European Customer Centricity Conference for that application. The second part is on the response rate. So we built for the last 3 years. We've been building and successfully applied again the power of artificial intelligence, combining attitudinal and behavioral data to actually be able to address the so-called silent customers, the people who are on average anywhere between 80 and 85% of the customer base, where companies operate blind. They don't know what they think, what their attitudes are. So we've been able, with a very high level of accuracy, to predict for people who never responded to survey, if they would have responded, what their attitude would be in the terms of whether it's a promoter, passive detractor, or a different metric, which all of a sudden broadens the horizon and the initiatives of your customer experience program to the full customer base, not only on the limited 15 to 20% usually which responds to survey. Again, an award-winning algorithm and predictive model that we've been able to take to customers and help them increase the impact of the journey. Again, the third piece, which is reactive versus proactive, it really combines all of those things. And instead of now having influx of data and complaints that companies take action, now all of a sudden they have what I give an analogy for healthcare, a digital twin. So healthcare, we have huge footprint there. A lot of artificial intelligence application there has gone after creating a digital twin and basically understanding with the lifestyle and the healthcare that this person receives, what potential problems, health problems they might have. And as you probably know, a lot of your listeners know, in the US, hospitals get credits and they're incentivized for reducing admission. So basically they want to prevent people going to hospitals. So that's why they create those digital twins using artificial intelligence and understand with the lifestyle and the current healthcare problems, what will happen in future. That's what we want as well. We're creating digital twins of customers, and we're trying to prevent them from calling and complaining. Absolutely the same analogy. So actually, companies can proactively address their needs when they come. They don't have to rescue them, but actually they build better experience for them by proactively doing so. So that's impact for us. That not waiting to get the call in your call center. Not getting to get your complaint, but actually having literally a list of customers with their potential behavior, whether it's be satisfied or dissatisfied, and the reason behind it, which they can now act on. And that's how we've defined our, let's say, the problems and basically what we bring to clients.
You are sharing really outstanding examples, and if it would be possible and it would be in person, I would argue because of one example that you did. Joke by side, these were really good examples, and what you are explaining, also introducing the concept of digital twins, it's our future. And Gemseek, it's really a future focused company and pioneering artificial intelligence. The big question that I would have, and as a matter of fact that you are the CEO, how are you convincing your customer that this is the way to go? Because it's everything super innovative, but I think it's also linked with quite a lot of risk and challenges, because not all the companies are already there to use and to understand such solutions.
Great question. And indeed, we understood the hard way that sometimes, to have something early on the market is not a recipe for success. I was reading an article recently indeed about that. I'm not going to mention the company, I guess, but an automotive company, one of the first to produce electric vehicles in, Toyota obviously was first, but after that, there was another major player that introduced it and said, we're going to go all electric in the 2011. But then you see them now, they're actually catching up because they saw that it was early to go at scale at that time. So the same thing, actually, we introduced our predictive NPS product, the one that addresses the low response rate problem, already in 2018, 2019. We won an award for it. We thought that was like amazing, but the truth is, like you said, the maturity of organizations to do something with the insights and data wasn't there. So they found it extremely interesting, innovative, but wouldn't be able to immediately, get it and get the most value out of it. So that's why we kind of took a pause. We focused a little bit more on, product development, adding a few more other use cases, basically, which are around the same business, the business case. And now, literally in the last 1 year, we're seeing that all the major thought leaders in the field, so Bain, McKinsey, all the really big names in the customer experience phase are exactly saying that basically, the technologies will be, the technologies that are in the current form will become commoditized. And really, it's about this shift from reactive to proactive customer experience that's going to take place in the next phase, which is starting now. And the way that we've overcome this fact that there's data complexity and there's difficulty in digesting and doing something about the insights we produce is the fact that with every client now we start small scale. So instead of let's say we're going to do predictive NPS, which is going to combine 500 variables from ERP, CRM data, CX data. We're going to plug it into your existing technology for the same workflow, and customers are like, no. We say, okay, let's keep it light. Let's just take your CX data. It's going to take 2 weeks to do it. Really, no hassle for you, no risk. Let's show you what you get on a smaller scale within your existing workflow. So the user CX platform won't do anything else. And then if you like it, let's then create a roadmap where we scale up, because ultimately to get the maximum value out of that. And we see that basically there's a huge let's say, openness to an approach like that. Let's start small, not take the rocket to space immediately, but let's do a couple of test flights with our customers, so that they get them and their stakeholders as well get acquainted of what the deliverable will look like, what basically the value would be, and how they can adapt it to their current workflow and absorb the insights and data that comes out of that. So that's how we've become a lot easier to work with than before.
What you're saying, it's we are seeing and facing in a lot of different industry, and basically what I would like also to understand better from you is the following. As you said, you start applying artificial intelligence to smaller pieces in order to create insights, and then you have quite a lot of new ideas what you should do to be more proactive, to create more acquisition, to improve the retention. Is there a way how you are measuring or helping companies assessing the impact of these different ideas that pop up thanks to your solutions?
Yes, precisely. So ultimately, and that's why we talk about impact, ultimately everything we do, we want to bring it back to measures. One is uplifting customer experience KPIs, whichever the customer chooses, and the second is financial value. And the financial value could be in two dimensions. One is in retention, we look at customer lifetime value. So obviously, if you've been able to retain a customer, they're going to be with you another 2, 3 to 5 years. That's customer lifetime value. The second is the change in financial behavior, if you wish. Have they spent more with us? Have they brought in new customers also? So basically, giving you specific examples, our recommendation engine for actions works in this exact way. So if you've been running a customer experience program, you've taken hundreds, if not thousands, of actions. We take those learning from the past months or year, and we measure their impact based on customer experience uplift and customer lifetime value retention. And next time, let's say you go in and you're about to do an action based on certain customer behavior or bulk of customers, you're going to see a recommended 3 to 5 actions which are ranked by their uplift on customer experience and the customer lifetime value retention which they bring. So at the end of the day, every quarter you'll be able to report to your stakeholders and say, this past quarter we had 5 million euro of customer retentions and 3 million euro of customer spend increase. That's ultimately the value that we look at when we talk about impact. The same with the so-called silence customers. Companies understand super unhappy customers have very high chance of going elsewhere. It's a very competitive world, so and the cost and the barrier to go somewhere else are now extremely low. So once we unlock and we understand what from the silent customers, the ones who never respond to surveys, obviously there's a huge percent there as well, or a huge number that are also potential movers or churners. So by understanding them and doing something about that, we've been able to help companies reduce their churn rate by 30% plus as well, just focusing on those silent, super unhappy customers. So that's the impact, which is more to financial and economic value. The one which is emerging now, and we're also investing a lot in, is a lot around corporate social responsibility. So it's not everything about like how much money we're saving, how much money we're retaining customers, and how much money we're getting from customers, but it's also how we treat what we call the vulnerable customers. We have developed, again, using the power of AI, analyzing text. We have been able to provide to companies opportunity to listen to and understand what percentage of their customer base are vulnerable customers on one end, so they can and drivers behind that as well, and also with the power of AI to create predictive models to understand for customers who never say they're vulnerable, that they might be ones. And we see that it's a huge, it's very important for companies to do that as well. And there's a lot of initiatives around that area, and even regulation in countries like United Kingdom, where especially for the financial services sector, there are regulations with regards to customer vulnerability. So on one end, we want to help companies, be profitable, do the right decisions, so they deliver great customer experience, and the impact is based on retention and financial value. But at the other side, we also want to help them be better, not only from financial perspective, but also better by understanding, vulnerable customers. Also, in those crazy times, there are a lot of vulnerable customers out there. They just not all of them express it, and just we want to make sure that they're addressed, and the customer service there is adequate.
Petko, this is mind-blowing, and that's why also I really like and enjoying doing podcasts, because I learn everything. This is my masterclass, and this is really the first time, and it's more than 50 episodes that we are speaking beyond the return on investment. We are always speaking about increasing revenues, reducing cost to serve. As you mentioned, it's about acquisition, about retention, about improving share of wallet, but there is more. There is not only the return on investment for the shareholders, but being social responsible, the commercial and the social impact. And this is really outstanding. It was a great discussion. You shared several examples that were really good. And I think the only question that I have on this part, the last one, is really, if somebody would like to chat with you, what's the best way to contact you or your company?
Fully open, LinkedIn, email, telephone, very open to chat, and also more than happy to bounce ideas, because also there are a lot of our actually business cases and products and applications came hand by hand with clients, and curious clients who share kind of our values as well. So being curious, you have a question, the question is what to do with the silent customers, then we come up with a solution. So, it's one of the things that we do really well is just kind of share ideas and brainstorm together what approaches are to difficult questions. So email, LinkedIn, telephone, would be more than happy to bounce ideas. This is really what also excites us.
Thank you very much, Petko, and I hope that the audience will not be silent, but will contact you, because this was really a great discussion. And now, in conclusion, the last two questions. It's more about you. Is a book that you would like to suggest to the audience that you say, for example, it helped me during my career? There's
a lot of books throughout the career, but something which I found very relevant for the space which we are, and you very well pointed it out. I think we're in early adoption phase of some of those AI predictive models and applications. There's a book that somebody recommended to me. I read it. It's more with regards to why our company has been successful applying some of the learning there. It's called Crossing the Chasm. I'm not sure if you heard about it. It's by Jeffrey Moore. And the chasm is a lot around companies in technology, but not only, basically where they understand the life cycle of their industry and what they need to do in the different stages of that, basically, so they're successful. I recommended it to anybody. For me, it's helped in Gemseek a lot, because in every time we are seeing a change in the industry, in the customer experience industry, which has been very dynamic in the last 10 years. We've been able to respond to the market in a good way. We've been able to grow. But as I said now, by understanding the chasm, and it's more this peak, like this peak is called the chasm, which stage we are. That's why we've put forward a little bit more ambitious vision, basically, so we can actually be a pioneer, not just follow the market, and be providing the services and technology that the market needs now, but actually trying to be a little bit future thinking in this perspective.
Thank you. And it's great speaking about pioneering early adopters. I am really now thrilled to listen to the answer to the last question. And this is Petko Golden Nugget. It's something that we discussed or something new that you would leave to the audience.
A golden nugget. So what I like to leave your audience with, as always, and how I've run the company, and basically I'm talking to curious clients and curious partners and friends as well. I think everything is possible now, leveraging the power of data. So my recommendation to the audience is don't get bogged down onto what the limitations are on data. Actually, let's look at what the possibilities are. Really, if that mind shift happens, and it's about to happen, it's happening. Then there's a lot more things we can do and become from reactive to proactive in the customer experience management. So let's not think about limitations, think about the possibilities.
Thank you very much, Petko. And as usual, I'm not commenting this last question because it was Petko Golden Nugget. The last thing that I want to say is thank you very much for your time. It was really great to have you on the CX Goalkeeper podcast.
Thank you, Greg. It was amazing as well. Thanks for the opportunity.
And also thank you to the audience. I hope that you enjoyed the discussion because it was really a pioneering discussion about data analytics and everything what it's possible. And also thank you very much to Gemseek to accepting my invite. I wish you a great day. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Bye-bye. Grazie mille. Arrivederci.
Bye. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word of mouth. Subscribe it, share it. Until the next episode, please don't forget, we are not in a B2B or B2C business, we are in a human-to-human environment. Thank you!